Hey guys, welcome back to Set the Standard, the Seldon Standard. I'm your host, Genelle. Hey. I'm coming at you with another solo podcast. My dad is currently on a snowmobile trip. Everyone's traveling around, and I have just been boiling up ideas, things to talk about, things I want to discuss, things I'm passionate about. I'm going to be sharing some ways on how you can receive the most mental clarity you will ever have in your life. And some of these are going to be biblical, and some of these are just going to be things that I've experienced in ways that I've gotten mental clarity in situations of extreme pain, extreme confusion, anxiety, worry, and doubt. So let's get into how to receive the most mental clarity of your life. So I have currently been on this planet for 32 years. My 32nd birthday is coming up. So then I will be going into my 33rd year, which is crazy to even mention. So wild. But I'm basing this off of the tons of research I have done, the books that I have read, the podcasts I have listened to, the advice I have received from the wiser than myself, and also my own experiences. I, as a person, have been through a lot. And once you reach the age of 30, you hope that you have been through a lot, and you hope that other people around you have been through a lot too, so they can relate to you and you guys are on the same level. But I've noticed that when you turn 30 and you hang out with other 30-year-olds, you're just meeting new 30-year-olds, or you grew up with people your age, you start to notice this huge gap between people sometimes. So either people in their 20s rode super hard and fast, college, grinding, no money, and they did all that, or they partied and now they're partied out, or they didn't party and now they want to party, or they never dated anyone and they're just dating people for the first time, or they dated a ton of people and now they want to get married. There's like all these different maturity levels and all these different people that are at different stages. I actually think 30 is a lot crazier and more off than when you're 20 years old. When you're 20, everyone pretty much finished high school. Everyone either went to college or started to get this small job and still probably is like getting help from their parents. You're kind of all at a similar-ish area. The wisdom, the commonalities, the understanding of trauma levels and stuff like that, for the most part, are similar, unless there are children out there that have a really hard childhood. But I think when you're 30, this is just like a little side rant. Everyone is at different maturity levels based on how their 20s went. If they partied, if they dated, if they didn't date, if they were scared to date, maybe they didn't really feel like they could make a bunch of friends until later in their 20s when they got the job they really wanted because they had to do college for all this time. Or maybe they hopped a bunch of, you know what I mean? Like everyone's at a different phase. So I would say where I categorize myself is I didn't do the crazy partying in college, but I did have a year where I went off the walls, and I had a long-term relationship. So I knew what it was like to be in a very long-term relationship and kind of realize what growing apart would look like, and really sticking with commitment and loyalty, but then also making mistakes and realizing what you do and don't want to do. And then I have tried a little bit of dating, but I'm not as experienced in dating as a lot of other 30-year-olds. So I'm also very new to the dating games. So all I'm saying is I have been in love. I have dealt with immense amount of pain from heartbreak. I have dealt with letting go of a family member. I have dealt with death and a suicide of friends. I have gone through a lot, and all of this has given me some sort of pain. It's given me some sort of scar tissue. And scars are a beautiful thing because scars are your witness. They saw what you went through and will stay with you no matter what. They are there to remind you that you are strong and that you got this. And so with that, I've had to trial and error a lot of different ways to heal my scars, or to heal my wounds into scars, and to heal that pain. If you think about life, I think nowadays people think that life is supposed to be comfy, cozy, and you always hear, it's not supposed to be that hard, or it's going to be easy. And although that is true in some instances, there are instances too where life is hard. There's that saying, like, life is lifing right now. That just means it's tough. We got to really push through this one. So I'm going to get into, after that little rant, I'm going to get into ways I've received mental clarity through these hardships, through these really, really, really hard times. I think in the midst of pain, and this is why I bring it up, pain will build your character. God knows that when we're going through pain builds your integrity. It makes you stronger. It makes you wiser. And if you use pain in the right way, it'll make you learn way quicker and elevate way quicker and just get better in your life if you use pain as your superpower. Because let me tell you, when you do these things, you will feel like a superhero. I have been absolutely crushed. My soul has been crushed in my life. I have felt pain to such an extreme amount. And I wouldn't say that the utmost pain that you could ever feel, but definitely very intense amount of pain. And I've dealt with it in different ways. So in the midst of going through pain, there's also come a lot of confusion, a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety. I've never been one to be depressed, but I know other people have dealt with that, and that comes with depression, comes with worry and anxiety and the unknown and not feeling like enough or worthy or that you have purpose. And so that's all the mind, that's chaos in the mind. And so if you put yourself through these things I'm going to talk about, the clarity that you will get in your mind to make the right decisions, to keep pushing forward, to get better and not bitter, I promise you. And I'm not perfect at these things, and I'm still working. I'm actually in the midst of using these things. And that's why I was inspired to do this podcast. So, and these are in no particular order. I would follow all of these. If you're in a situation where you're confused, you are heartbroken, you're experiencing grief, death, loss, not feeling worthy, you made a mistake and you can't forgive yourself, okay? These things are going to be very helpful for you. The first one, I'm just going to jump right into it. Alcohol and drugs. Cut it. No alcohol and drugs. Alcohol is such a huge thing everywhere in the whole world. And it really dulls down your entire brain. Your entire thought process is completely fogged when you're drinking. And you're like, well, duh, I knew that. But it literally dulls your subconscious, your gut intuition, and not only just while you're drunk, but even days after the alcohol is in your system. If you're recovering, if you're hungover, there's also anxiety that can come with it. And depending on what you did when you drank or did drugs, there's that consequence that might be laying in your head, or maybe it brought you to think about something you've been healing towards. So for me, when I'm trying to receive the most mental clarity that I could ever receive, I stop drinking. No, I've never done drugs before, but I do drink. And I think when I'm healing or I'm going through something, when I drink, I become an absolute monster. If I'm releasing something, I'm going through that release. If I add alcohol, it's like adding gasoline to a fire. It's actually insane. I can't drink. And honestly, I'm getting to a point where I can't really ever drink again. I probably can do maybe a glass of wine here and there, but to drink is probably something I should just let go. And I hear so many people talking about, even younger people, wanting to stop drinking. I just think it's become such a heavy part of our culture. But I think because of just social media and people's like minds nowadays, it's just like, it's not healthy. It causes issues and it ages you. It doesn't make you look good. There's no real crazy benefit besides this instant satisfaction or fulfillment or fun time. And trust me, I have fun when I drink most of the time. But then there's been other times that that's absolutely been my downfall. And I've never gotten in trouble with the law or anything, but I've definitely like ruined stuff for myself. And it was not worth it to do that, especially if I was going through a time where I needed my mental clarity. We all know that when you drink and you get drunk, there's nothing really on upstairs. Like lights are on, nobody is home. But if it's something that you're regularly doing, you're still dulling yourself down. You are not allowing yourself to be at your highest mental point. And even if it's a few days after, let's just say you're going out on the weekends, you get your Monday through Thursday maybe, and then you're drinking again. So if you're trying to problem solve, if you're trying to elevate in your life, if you're trying to get to that next level, if you're trying to heal trauma, if you're trying to, think through a friendship fallout, a family member fallout, a heartbreak, something, you're not really getting that mental clarity. It's hard. And you may think that you are, but you're not. This is something that is a distraction. It is something that dulls you down. And that's why a lot of people use it for numbing. That's why there's alcoholics. That's why there's people that turn to it to not feel anything, to not think. Okay. The next one is sleep. The reason why I'm saying sleep is because alcohol affects your sleep. So when you're drinking, let's say you're drinking Friday, Saturday. Some people do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Your sleep is not good. I have the Oura ring. I track my sleep with Oura. Whenever I drink 2 glasses of wine, my sleep is trash. I'm not sleeping nearly as good as I should be sleeping. So that also takes away from that. But sleep in general, getting good sleep helps your brain function so much better. I have been doing the L-theanine magnesium mixture before I go to bed. Oh, the rest and the sleep that I have been getting, immaculate. I wake up feeling so refreshed and so good. And then when I wake up, I kind of can get myself together, get myself ready, go to my workout. I really feel like I'm operating at my highest capacity. And that's another thing too. When you need mental clarity, you want to be operating at your highest capacity to think through your day, your tasks, to really excel forward. I'm in such a place right now where I'm just trying to excel as much as I can forward, push myself forward so fast and so hard, like the speed of light, and grow. I'm in my growth era right now. And as uncomfortable as it gets, knowing that I can prioritize sleep and I get to look forward to sleep makes me so happy because I love being a sleepy girl. I love being in my bed. I love my pillows. I love my blanket. I love my stuffed animals. That's just how I am. So sleep. The next one is fasting. This is something that's talked a lot about in the Bible. It's talked a lot in the Bible. And they say fast and pray. And if you are not spiritual, if you don't believe in God, that's your own journey. I'll pray for you. I hope you find God because he's so great. He's amazing and he's wonderful. And he's done so much amazing stuff for me in my life. But fasting in general, not eating for 24 hours is, I wouldn't say a crazy painful experience, but it kind of hurts. It doesn't feel good. So let's say you're going through a really hard time and you're feeling some sort of pain, heartache, mental anxiety, depression, self-worth issues, trying to solve a problem you can't seem to get to the bottom to, whatever it is. If you add fasting to that, although you may think to yourself, oh my gosh, this is going to distract me, I promise you, it'll make you feel like you're turning into a superhero. And by the end of the day, you kind of feel lethargic. But throughout your day, if you're thinking on a thought, you're thinking on a solution, or you're wanting answers, and then you're also praying with it, which is extremely powerful, you come out of your day so much clearer. And you may not have an answer drop and fall from the sky right into your lap, but if you do this once a week for a month, it's the craziest experience I've ever experienced. And I'm going to fast this week. I think I'm going to fast on Sunday, but I always try to fast on Sunday or Monday. First of all, you feel so accomplished. You feel like at the end of the day, when you go to eat, you feel so fulfilled. It's really crazy. And I told myself I would do this more, so I'm going to read a couple Bible verses that talk about fasting. So this here reads, benefits of fasting helps you humble yourself before God. It helps you resist temptation, helps you seek God's guidance, and helps you to show solidarity in others. Matthew 6:16-18 encourages fasting in secret. So that way only God knows. It says that God rewards those who fast in secret. And so a definition of fasting as well, just so you guys have it, is fasting is essentially giving up food for a period of time in order to focus your thoughts on God. While fasting, many people read the Bible, pray, or worship. Fasting is found throughout the Old and New Testaments of the Bible over 50 different times. It's a lot of times it's mentioned. Fasting has a rich history in both the Old and New Testaments, serving as a powerful way to connect with God. In the Old Testament, people often fasted in times of deep sorrow and when they wanted to humble themselves before God. Take David in Psalm 35:13, for instance. He fasted to express his humility before the Lord. In the New Testament, fasting becomes a way to draw closer to God, centering one's heart and mind on Him. Jesus exemplifies this in Matthew 4:1-2, fasting for 40 days in the wilderness to prepare for his ministry. We're also encouraged to keep our fasting between us and God. As Jesus teaches Matthew in 6:16-18, we shouldn't appear somber to signal that we're fasting. It's a private practice meant to nurture a quiet, deep relationship with God. Fasting often goes hand in hand with prayer, creating an intentional time of worship, like in Acts 13:3, where only Christians fasted and prayed together, or in Luke 2:37, where a widow faithfully fasted and prayed day and night. So clearly you could see fasting is a bit biblical, but I think also just in general with the human mind, when you are not constantly soothing yourself with food, food is such a comfort. It is such a luxury. It's something that we truly take for granted. No matter what you believe in, eating is such a luxury. People do not have this all over the world. They really don't. And so if you take a moment to even just take some time away from eating, and let's just say you're journaling your thoughts or you're feeling just so down, I swear at the end of 24 hours, you're just so happy to sit down and have a meal that whatever your mind was thinking about, or maybe you were thinking about all day or journaling while you were hungry, you're now just so excited to eat. It brings so much gratitude to the fact that food is such a beautiful, amazing thing. I love food. And so isn't that just so beautiful in general? It really humbles you. And if you're humbling yourself before God, or, you're on that journey, it just still humbles you as a human. As a human, we are craving this every day to eat. How crazy is that? We think we're so in control and we're so powerful, but then we're like getting this knock, like, hi, you want to eat? Hi, this is temptation. And then you fight that. You're a superhero. You have superpowers when you do that. Trust. This next one is interesting. I put no masturbation or touching from other people. So sex, masturbation, touching in general, all of that releases hormones in the brain that allows your brain to not think clearly. You're not thinking straight. You're not thinking clear, and it messes with your hormones and your emotions. And I think if you are going through sorrow or whatever, a lot of people do use that to soothe themselves, but it's so short-lived. And some people might argue and say, no, like over time, things get better and might as well feel good on the way to feeling better. But to be honest, you're going to face yourself regardless. And I think with these things, even though you're soothing your way to hopefully just thinking you're going to be over it, you're still going to have to face it regardless. You are just actually putting time in between. You're just putting it off. So, and I get that. Some people in life, they don't want to face their stuff right away. They want, they're like, I have time to not face this. But that also puts you at risk for living in sin, and you never know when your last day is going to be. You never know what can happen. You're putting yourself at risk for disease, sickness, more pain, hurting somebody else. You're just like adding so much, especially if you're just using it to soothe your wounds. There's a lot at stake. And the reason why I'm speaking from this is because I have experience in that. I had a moment where I was in the midst of healing myself, and then I used going out and dating somebody who wasn't intentional or wasn't what I was trying to ever be in. And ultimately I ended up hurt, and so did the other person. And it was confusing because it wasn't supposed to be that way. And I also had been drinking a lot, and it was just a mess. And then when I came out of it, although I wasn't as much in pain from what I was trying to heal from the year prior, I still had it on my mind. And then I was trying to heal from all the mistakes I made for that year, and looking at it as, yes, it was a learning experience, but also I could have gotten badly hurt. I could have died at some points. It was not good. Plus, I think when you're young, you don't realize the decisions you're making now will impact how you age and how your body is going to be in your 40s and 50s. And you're still considered very young at those times. So also your mind as well. If you're constantly just running and trying to cover up your mind, and you don't really sit down and heal, and you're in your 30s, it's going to suck. It's going to actually stink. It's going to stink so bad when you're in your early to mid 30s and you suddenly have to take a year to heal all of your trauma and all of your wounds, and not do it with somebody unless you do find someone who's very patient and healed. Honestly, it all just sounds like kind of a mess to me, but I kind of went off on a tangent. So any sort of sexual pleasure is just a complete distraction when you're trying to think clearly. So for me personally, I cut all that out. So when I have cut all that out, I have been able to think so clear. And even at times where I feel tempted, or I need to solve a problem, or I have stuff going on in work and I need to work and think very fast and very efficiently, I don't participate in any of these things because I need my mind to actually be so level-headed and so steady. I was doing a lot of therapy in the fall, and I started adding alcohol and physical touch with a partner and everything in. And oh my gosh, it made me explode. I could not process my therapy and trauma I was bringing up in a proper way, because then I was going out drinking. I was really mentally stimulated when it came to being with a partner. And I was just I should have just taken that time to just relax, done more kind of gotten more in touch with the earth, and just took a relaxation pill for a second and just relaxed for a moment. I had no chill. And so it blew up in my face. And so if you are dealing with something that you're trying to work on mentally, you're going through something, adding these things in, you think maybe making you feel better, it can blow up in your face, really bad. So the next one I put is reading the Bible and educational books. I need to actually sit down and read my Bible. But one thing I will say is I'm in the Bible app several times a day because something is popping up on my social media. I hear someone say something. I'm just really immersed in a lot of my godly content. I've made my TikTok all about God, and I see it on Instagram, and even my Pinterest has a bunch of quotes. So I'll always just add it to the Bible app. I'll go in there. I have a ton of friends on there, and we're doing little plans you can do. If you guys have the Bible app, you guys can add me. I'll put a link. And I will just say it's made me feel so good. It makes me feel so connected to myself, and reassurance and having faith in God by reading pieces of the Bible that literally apply to my life. We think, we're in 2025, we're so advanced, all this stuff. when you read scriptures of the Bible and you put them into situations in your life that you're going through, heartbreak, grief, death, money issues, whatever it is, self-doubt, anxiety, worry, these things are in the Bible. This stuff has been there since to the ends of time. People have been talking about it. Addiction, all of this, people have talked about it. It is in the Bible. It's so reassuring to know that God has your back in ways that you can fight through these demons and these things in your soul. And I also like reading educational books. Some of them are not always Christian. I'm reading Why Men Love Bitches. It's very entertaining. I'm flying through the book. I'm like halfway done and I just started it the other night. I'm highlighting, I'm adding notes. It's a funny book. And that book was written 10 years ago. Maybe it's 20. But it's just crazy how relatable things still are, how people still go through this stuff. They're still giving tips that you even hear just on TikTok. There's also the 48 Laws of Power, which is a very powerful book I've read twice. And I've been reading poetry, which is really nice because you feel so connected to other humans in such a beautiful, poetic, gorgeous way. I think people have such an amazing way of wording feelings, thoughts, nostalgia, and memories, and smells and tastes and feelings. And that's a whole nother talent that I have not been able to tap into, but it's so beautiful. And so that's another way I can think clearly is when I'm reading at night before bed. I think not being in my phone and opening up a book, opening up a journal, opening up my Bible, and just taking 20 minutes for each fun thing and reading and then knocking out. I wake up feeling so good. I feel so magnificent. So the last thing I want to say with all of this is face yourself. Don't self-soothe. Take the time instead of begging, seeking, trying, wanting to look at yourself. And you will look back 6 months, a year's time. If you take this time, you will look back and see how blind you were, how abandoned all your wounds were just at the surface of you. And, you know, your life will mirror exactly where you are at. And a lot of people want to blame everyone else around them. Nope. Your life is a mirror of exactly where you are at with your mental health and how you feel about yourself. So you will always meet the mirror of reflection of how you are within yourself. In everyone and in everything. So I'm going to wrap this up, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you took away something from this. I had fun, as always, filming it. I feel passionate about this topic. I'm going to listen back to this and be like, yes, I'm doing that. I'm going to do all of these things this weekend. And I hope you do too. I hope you find clarity and I hope you find peace. And thank you guys again, always, for listening to this podcast. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.